All right, John Williams, it's a symbolic responding to your video entitled An Ordinary Sympathizer. And you ask a great question at the end of the video. Do I believe that people should be rational and atheist, or do I really believe that people need religion and that religion is some fundamental part that we need to preserve, that religion is something we need to protect as opposed to something we want to wither away so that we have freedom of religion because we are appealing to the rational side of people. Yeah. No, I don't believe that religion is something we need to preserve or protect. Um, and I think really the true problem we're having right now with religion is a fundamentalist approach to religion. The approach that says that the words written on the page are to be strictly interpreted. Dogma, I think, is the problem. People blindly following dogma, and I think that that is something that I would like to see dissolved away. You know, about and as you said, we could get into the various methods and what are the most effective methods. But religion on the whole, I think, does have value, and I think there is a natural impulse for people to find meaning in their life and purpose in their life and value in their life, and that religion can offer these things to people. So, I mean, even reason and rationality alone don't necessarily incorporate a value system. I mean, we can make a lot of rational decisions, that could really do a lot of damage in the world. I mean, we can conclude rationally that we should kill a lot of people, because we'll get more property if we do, So we have to have some a value system, and now some of this is compensated for by our belief in mutual rights. That in the pursuit of our lives, we not infringe upon other people's rights. That generally can go a long way towards assuring proper conduct. But what's not involved is well, what about other values such as kindness, gentleness, graciousness, politeness, compassion, things of this nature. These sort of values I don't think they flow directly from reason. You know, we learn them in different places, and since we've been talking about Islam, and drawings of the Prophet Muhammad, I mean, uh, it's interesting. Muhammad can serve as a template of virtue. And in the atheistic realm, we don't have that. We have to glean virtues. This is why it's important I believe, for us to read widely, because we have to, we don't have a single model of virtue to go towards. So we have to sort of assemble it, though part of it's taught to us by our families and in general. But I do think we have to really read a good deal expansively in order to develop the ideas of virtue. Um, so, in any event, rationality is a fascinating thing. I mean, there's nothing more rational than mathematics, mathematics and logic. That's where we find the quintessential rationality and quintessential reason. And the curious thing is the more you delve into that, the more you're confronted with paradox. Paradox, which is why for me paradox has always fascinated me, and engaged my thought, because I've looked deeply into the rules. Well, not deeply into, but I've studied the rules of inference. I've studied things of this nature to really study what is reason, what is rationality, what is logic, and it's just amazing how paradox appears. So, just a thought. I know I tend to wander. Ideas sort of pop into my head, and I sort of follow them. Um, as far as atheism goes, I was reading Wikipedia's article on Thomas Paine, because I know he wrote the pamphlet, The Age of Reason, and we've been talking about the Age of Reason. Fascinating. He was actually a deist. He didn't believe in revealed religion. He believed in reason over revealed religion. religion, but he was a deist in terms of believing in a first cause or prime mover. Um, so that's fascinating. So it might be revealed religion, that might be in opposition to reason. But as I say, reason does seem sort of incomplete to me. Um, as far as virtue goes, just harkening back, that's why I think we need a sense of humanism and humanistic values to inform atheism or deism or what have you. Um, that's sort of the situation. Now, you'd mentioned a couple of the excuse me, pragmatic difficulties that the normal law and order when dealing with terrorism. Normal law and order resort to that doesn't often work in the case of, say, suicide bombing. Um, yeah, I got to agree with you on that. The only solution to that really is just really good investigation, really good intelligence, to determine what's going on. Um, I do think a lot of the factors that are causing terrorism can be traced to socioeconomic factors like poverty, um, as well as a certain amount of people being brainwashed. But you know, if people are not offered opportunity, and if they're not, I mean, if their society is not offering them opportunity, a chance to lead meaningful lives, express their lives meaningfully, there's a whole lot of poverty and misery. People tend to value their lives very little, and if they're not given that self-esteem, as I say, they don't value their lives. So where do they find value for their lives? They can only find value for their lives in a huge myth, a giant overarching myth, and then the self-destruction of their life takes on meaning within the myth, rather than living life and being able to live life and to gain meaning from living life. It's a complex problem, but I thought I'd bring that up. Search for meaning, rational needs human is okay. I think that's sort of it. Oh, and I understand your point about yeah, people having a right to their feelings, but also owning their feelings, and there being a responsibility to that as well. Yeah, I agree with you on that too. Um, uh, that is a very valid point. It's what these are these complex. You get into these situations where nobody's really right and nobody's really wrong. It's just, I think, a matter of intercultural understanding. Maybe at some point we can talk about the best methods for sort of coping with fundamentalism. Thomas Paine is Wikipedia's article is great on Thomas Paine. Uh, he used a very bold style of satire to sort of undermine what I would consider to be the dogmatic, literal uh, versions of Judeo-Christian scripture. I mean, the snake in the garden and all these things. Brought it out, made a very bold statement, and believed in actually creating a sort of shock value. That merely reasoning alone did not provide the shock that it took to sort of have people see things in a new perspective. So it's a very interesting thought. But of course, he's dealing within the same culture. So, within this, there's not being mixed elements of racism or racial superiority or stereotyping, ethnic stereotyping. So that's why I'm sort of fascinated with how do you use satire interculturally, um, you know, and keep it free from um, stereotyping, among other things. But I think it's a challenging problem, and to be effective, that has to be taken into consideration. Huh? All right, John. Thanks for your video. I know I probably didn't address all your concerns, and I perhaps wandered a bit in my sort of serendipitous manner, but I apologize for that. Okay, take care. Bye.